Hello and welcome to The Hill is Always Greener, a show where four friends have chill discussions about Sonic the Hedgehog to distract themselves from the inevitable passage of time and their own rapidly waning ability to relate to the youth. I'm CyberLink.
I'm RockTheJake.
I'm GameBuddy.
I'm Faulerro, and that was quite the intro. That's more than I've ever been able to actually have.
Look, I'm just speaking the truth.
I know.
I was going to go, yeah, oh.
Anyway, how are you guys doing? Any Sonic-y things happening recently? Oh yeah, is this happening?
Oh yeah.
I have to ask.
Yeah, I had a little Sonic-y thing. I was doing some work and threw on some YouTube videos, and I ended up watching the animation of Sonic games by New Frame Plus, which is a cool little video, and really enjoyed it. He does a great job of looking at the main like console Sonic titles all the way up into I think Forces. I really liked how he was able to approach it just from a purely like someone who works in animation perspective, and talks how like the original Genesis sprites communicate a lot of action and their limited capacity, and how the 3D games like start out pretty rough. I was really enjoyed that he put into words some feelings I have about the changes from Sonic Adventure 1 to 2, and it basically boils down to the run cycles in Sonic Adventure 2 are really weird. Like they control good, but like visually they are pretty messy. But he talks about like how good the games have been lately about really pushing the cartoony like squash and stretch, and just letting Sonic like do really cool cartoony gymnastics, and it's a really good video. I definitely recommend people check it out, especially if you've like never thought about the Sonic games from that perspective before.
It'd be nice to hear something from someone who knows what they're talking about when it comes to Sonic. And
I know, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that is another thing, is he says up front that like he's not even really like a Sonic fan, so he's bringing like an outside perspective, just looking at this from like the like a cool animation side.
so not tainted by nostalgia. So
Yeah.
I think that having that objective perspective really is helpful for cases like that. I've honestly seen that video in my recommendations countless times, but I've never actually sat down to watch it, so maybe I will give that a look later this week.
It is funny because, I mean, I'll give a little spoiler, is he really likes the animation in Sonic Boom on Wii U, because he talks about how, he says, I know the design changes were very controversial, but then he explains that like a lot of them probably were to make it easier to animate these characters, because it is funny to say the classic modern designs are still kind of hard to emote with, because they've got big old eyeballs and it's hard to do stuff with them. I thought that was pretty funny.
I mean, like when it comes down to it, Boom excelled as a cartoon anyway. So anything outside of the game,
Yes,
usually
that
quite
is
successful.
So weird how that whole sub-franchise ended up.
I had some Sonic-related stuff this week, too.
Ooh.
Do tell.
So after last week's episode, I dived into both Project 06 and the Sonic the Hedgehog portable game remakes, 1 and 2.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Project 06 is... I mean, like, the thing to remember is, like, it is still Sonic 06 at its core.
Right, yeah.
But the improvements are, like, honestly, they're stellar. Like, it's amazing to, like, boot it up, and, like, the load time is just zip. And for Sonic, it feels like kind of the same. Like, maybe the momentum's been changed up a little bit. I played one level of Sonic and then one level of Shadow. Shadow is, like, it's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I love it. And I really want to dive back into that and like play more, because I have the demo that has, I think, every single level from both of their campaigns.
Yeah, that's the most recent one.
I mean, the real question to ask is, did you enjoy yourself playing it?
Yes.
Then it was an improvement.
Yes. Yeah, but just the fact that like somebody has spent so much time and effort like making it more than playable and like enjoyable as compared to like the original base game, like it's amazing.
Like you said, it's hard. I know, like, obviously so much work went into that original game, because it was, delayed and crunched on and came out so busted. But yeah, it is hard to not go like, well, at least he was able to salvage something from that mess, because
there's some good in Sonic 06. There's some potential there. We can see it there.
Yeah.
It may not be my ideal Sonic, but I can see why people like it in print, in
concept.
In concept. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I agree.
It is kind of funny because I've got a friend who apparently played Sonic 06 and somehow did not manage to trigger any of the glitches or anything.
What?
So when he was done with the game, he was like, wow, what a great experience. And then he looked online and found out that everyone hates it. It's like, oh, weird. I think he was just focused on the fact that it had a pretty girl that you had to rescue, but, I love these sort of unique experiences for people.
Oh, going through that phase in their life.
Yeah, that phase is not ended for him. He'll be a fun guy to have on someday. But anyway, you were saying, Jake.
Look, all I'm saying is that I can't watch Mean Girls the same way anymore.
Oh, man.
We wear pink on the day that the Iblis trigger happens. But what I was gonna say was I watched the completionist like recomplete video of Sonic 06. Yeah, and he even like said that like it going back to recomplete it like made him reflect on his growth as a YouTuber as well, and just like moving past the culture meme of saying like this game's bad, it sucks, and here's a joke about how much it sucks, and like it like still pointing at the flaws but like being constructive. And like one thing that he kept pointing back to was the fact that like if you look at the right spots, and it's actually not even that hard to, like if you look at the right spots of the game, like you can tell there was like genuine passion and creativity put into this game, because like the cinematics, like the quality of the cinematics are great, and the level designs are like pretty interesting in some parts. And I think people need to remember that like it wasn't just slapped together. Like there was a plan, and then corporate got involved.
They didn't set out to make a bad game.
Nobody ever does.
Yeah, I don't think anybody ever. Well, by and large, I would say you don't set out to make a game that big and expensive bad on purpose. And I do think it is, like you said, I think it does come with age and just experience when you learn how to like properly articulate your thoughts on media. I am more interested in understanding why a thing is bad and not just laughing because it's bad. And I definitely think that's where I am with Sonic 06 now, is I understand part of what happened there and obviously the big ideas that they tried to do. People hem and haw about it, but it was supposed to be Sonic Adventure 3. That was the style they were going for.
Right.
Yeah.
It was Sonic SA3 and everything but name, essentially. They just decided to give it the name Sonic the Hedgehog. That was their downfall. Well, that's one of their downfalls, actually. There were numerous pitfalls in that game, but anyway. I will say Sonic 06 is very creative. Like, it's an attempt to do something new. To do something... And there was, like you said, there was a lot of effort, a lot of money went into it. You can see there's something there. Just,
Yeah, questionable story choices aside, I continue to maintain that could have been a decent game if they just were given more time, which I think is a pretty common sentiment, honestly. So I guess put up your quarters, call your spots, boys, because we're heading back to the arcade.
Oh, yeah.
What? Woo-hoo. The arcade?
There are kind of two reasons that we went with this topic. One is, at the time we're recording this, Sega has just announced that they are kind of getting out of the arcade business. They're still going to be making arcade games, but there are no longer going to be Sega-branded arcades for the first time in, like close to 50 years, which is absolutely wild to think about.
I saw someone broke it down that they basically are selling the rest of their stock in like the arcade business.
Yeah.
Just hear you with a photo of the Sega.
Kamurocho is going to be the only place you can go to Club Sega now.
That was the first thing I realized. It's like, oh no, where are we supposed to go now in new Yakuza games?
It's sad. I've always wanted to go to a Sega arcade. I guess GameWorks, when that was around, was kind of like Sega was involved in that somehow. I don't know the exact like ownership there, but I've always wanted to go to a Japanese Sega arcade. It's a shame that I will unfortunately have to miss out on that, but talk about a legacy. Like, holy crap.
We can only hope that even if the branding might be gone, we can still go to the top floor and sit and play Virtua Fighter with all the chain-smoking salarymen.
Yeah. But the other reason we chose today's topic is that I didn't even realize this until we were getting ready, but yesterday, at the time we're recording, is the 25th anniversary of MAME, the multiple arcade machine emulator software.
Oh yeah, I saw that too. I had no idea that MAME had such a lengthy history. That is very cool stuff.
Yeah, I knew it had been around for a long time because I remember, like, as a kid installing it on a crappy old PC and being like completely wowed by the fact that I'm playing all these weird arcade games I've never heard of on, you know, my computer. Obviously, like I had no idea like how extensive like the emulation scene was even at that time, but I credit MAME with a lot of you know, discoverability for arcade games that would have been completely lost to time otherwise, some of which we'll probably not be talking about today. So
yeah, I can only speak for myself, but growing up I had like no local arcade. Like our mall bounced between having you know, like a little setup, and then it would close, and then it would reopen, and every once in a while a movie theater might have had a cabinet I recognized, but I just had zero access to arcade games growing up. So yeah, MAME in its various forms has been the only way I've experienced like these original forms of a lot of these games.
Yeah, I'm in kind of a similar boat where I didn't really have any arcades near me aside from like a Chuck E. Cheese that we honestly never really went to. But back during that era, I feel like arcade games were at the peak of their popularity. You know, this was the era of Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat, all the Konami beat 'em ups, and it felt like, you know, there was an arcade machine just about everywhere you look. Like I remember seeing they had Rampage and Marble Madness at the roller rink, Time Crisis and Hang On at the movie theater, Galaga and Soul Calibur at a local pizza place, Point Blank and APB at a rec center. Like, even my dentist's office had Buster Bros and Capcom Bowling.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah, and then,
you know, I think my dentist had a Donkey Kong 2 cabinet that had the original Donkey Kong in it.
That's cool.
So, like, someday you'll be waiting for your root canal, and someone will be like, hey, if anyone's interested, there's a Donkey Kong kill screen coming up.
Kill screen coming up!
Yeah, literally do remember they would have the Aladdin VHS going on a little TV mounted to the ceiling, and yeah, as I'm playing Donkey Kong, there's a kid, like, screaming, getting their teeth cleaned in the background.
That is the most 90s image I can think of.
Yeah, just recreate that soundscape in your head.
Ollie Bob.
Because of that, I've always kind of had a fascination with arcade games. And when I built my MAME cabinet 15 years ago, that's when I really started going deep and discovering a lot of super obscure games. That's how I played one of the games we're going to talk about for the first time. So I've always kind of had a real interest in the arcade side of Sonic just because it's a franchise I love, but a side of it that is super obscure and a lot of people don't really know about, which is part of the reason why I wanted to kind of dig deep on that side of things today for our topic.
Yeah, especially if you live in the West like we do. Yeah, so many of these things we did not get over here, or at least not only in limited releases. It's strange, man. You'd think Sonic, during the peak of the 90s when he was getting these things, and when arcades were a big deal, we would get so much more of this stuff. But no, it was advertised. I was reading it about in STC. I was like, oh, a Sonic arcade game. I can't wait to waste money on that. But no, didn't give me the chance. They couldn't take my money. So.
like you'd see like, you know, Mighty and Ray pop up in. Did they ever show up in STC?
Mighty did, obviously, because of Knuckles Chaotix. Ray did not. Ray, I'd heard about Ray. I never actually. Did they even show a picture of him? I don't remember. I just remember hearing about Ray, the little yellow fella. I think they might have
Yeah.
called him. It's been a while. But yeah, I didn't know about him for the longest time. I know he appeared in Archie.
Yeah, we definitely got him in Archie relatively early on, as I recall.
Yeah, I think he was in a couple of those early specials as kind of a like a bonus Chaotix member, if I recall correctly.
I think that's right, yeah.
He got brought in for the in the later issues a lot too. I remember the briefest hopes when the Sonic Gems collection got announced that we might get multiple arcade games in a home release, and that ended up not materializing like we thought.
And not for lack of trying from the sounds of it. It sounds like they wanted to at least get SegaSonic in there, but they couldn't figure out a way to really replicate the trackball controls, which, you know, given our experiences trying to try it for ourselves, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
I played it on a keyboard. Oh, pain.
I got it working technically. Technically got it working.
It makes sense to just kind of run through all of the arcade games we can think of chronologically and kind of do a quick deep dive on each of them as, you know, we have stuff to talk about them. So I figure we start off with the origin point of it all, Flicky from 1984, which is technically the first Sonic arcade game? Question mark. It's a weird case.
Retroactively?
Yeah.
I remember only playing the Mega Drive version in the first Mega Collection, and I kind of like this game. It's really cute. It's an interesting what do you call it? It's got an interesting game flow.
Yeah, the gameplay loop is interesting. It's definitely, you know, you can see how it directly inspired, you know, Sonic 3D. Like, even beyond just the flickies as a story element, it's basically directly replicating the gameplay hook of Flicky within the wider, you know, Sonic gameplay style, which is, you know, it's an interesting spin on things.
When I played it on the original Sonic Mega Collection on like the GameCube, you know, obviously I never played it before, and I think I was like at just that right age and like attention span where I did for some reason I just did like a deep dive in that game. I played like the heck out of it.
Wow.
Not like super often, but like there was like a couple game sessions where I just like sat down and I really played it. I never fully beat it, but I remember getting like pretty decently far into it, and I remember enjoying the like the gameplay style of it.
Just the thought of you sitting down like, all right, today's a Flicky day. Let's get started.
Yeah, I think at the time I didn't realize, even though I'm sure like the little blurb told you, even in Mega Collection, I didn't realize that it wasn't just like a little Sonic spin-off. I thought, oh, what a weird thing to make a game just for the little blue bird that you let out of the badniks.
Yeah.
I think I probably thought the same thing with Ristar. That, oh, this must be connected to Sonic in some way.
Good job on saying it right. Otherwise, One Chop would be breathing down our necks.
I'm going to say Ristar just to make One Chop angry.
They'll just get one out there.
It was probably him that retweeted it, that there is an interview with the Japanese developer that specifically says it's supposed to be Ristar. So I did. I looked it up.
I can't wait to play Ristar after this here podcast.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a whole lot to talk about Flicky because the arcade version is honestly not that different from the Mega Drive version. But what is very different from the Mega Drive version in a lot of ways are the Megatech and Mega Play versions of Sonic 1 and 2. I don't know if you guys are familiar with either of these systems.
Not really. I loaded up, I think it might have been the Mega Play version of Sonic 1 or 2, and to me it looked like, oh my goodness, this is, you know, you're paying 25 cents for like 3 or 4 minutes to play the Mega Drive versions of these games.
So that was the Megatech version. Basically,
okay.
It's like if you've ever heard of the Nintendo Play Choice 10. It's basically cartridge games configured in such a way, basically as arcade boards, where you can insert multiple into one arcade machine and be able to switch between them like a Neo Geo unit. So you can select your game, but you only have like 3 minutes or whatever per quarter. And if you want to keep playing beyond that time limit, you have to insert another quarter or token or whatever, which is Oh, that could get. We worry about microtransactions today, but that's just woof.
the original microtransaction. I think you've put here.
Yeah. Otherwise, though, the games are mostly the same as the Mega Drive Genesis versions. I think they took out the special stages, so you can't get emeralds. But otherwise, everything else works as intended. Even the cheat codes are still in there, apparently.
Interesting. I did actually have a quick look at Mega Play Sonic 1, and it's missing a few levels, actually, like the slow levels, basically.
Yeah.
Like Labyrinth and Marble are gone, which is an understandable thing to do for an arcade. Imagine trying to beat that within a time.
Yeah, the Mega Tech ones came out relatively early, then Mega Play was the successor to Mega Tech, where they reconfigured all the games. So now you're no longer paying for time, but they've now made the games way harder. So, like, the Mega Play version of Sonic 1, like you said, they took out Labyrinth and Marble Zone, but now they've also added strict time limits to every stage. So, like, you can configure the dip switches to set the difficulty. Green Hill Zone Act 1, for example, you have to beat it in less than 1 minute on easy, 50 seconds on normal, 40 seconds on hard, or 35 seconds on the hardest difficulty.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
And if you don't, you lose a life.
Oh, nice.
And also, you can't get extra lives. Getting 100 rings does nothing. There's no extra life boxes or anything like that. Yeah, the 1-up monitors just give you points. And, like, I think you can get one continue for, like, 20,000, and then nothing after that, because they want you to spend quarters.
I suppose that's one time where having points is actually relevant, is in an arcade, so fair enough, but yikes.
There's also no special stages in either version either. Sonic 2, Sonic 2 has all of the zones, because I remember I played that once in the main cabinet and got all the way through it, having to, I'm glad that I can set it to free play, because I would not have gotten through it otherwise. I was actually surprised to learn this a couple of years ago. The Switch ports of Sonic 1 and 2 actually include the Mega Play versions as an option.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. Those M2 versions?
Yeah, the M2 versions. So if you want to try a much harder version of Sonic 1 and Sonic 2, that option is there.
I'm glad they give you the option to suffer. That's really nice of them.
I just want to be given the option, okay? Oh, goodness.
Yeah, and Sonic 2 also does not have the time limits, so that's a little bit more forgiving, but only just.
I don't know if retrofitting is the right word, but adapting those very purposefully designed home console games into an arcade setting. I know several games have done that. The Super Mario, there's a couple of arcade ports of those early games. That's always real fascinating.
Yeah, like versus Super Mario Brothers on, like, wasn't that available on one of the virtual consoles, I think?
I think it's on Switch, actually.
Yeah, is that one of the Hamster that does those releases?
Arcade Archives.
Yes.
It's cool that these, like, more obscure kind of weird versions are still available in some capacity, because I feel like, we've all played Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 to death, so it's cool to have, like, this alternate take if you want to mix things up a little.
Yeah, I'm just glad I do not have to pay actual quarters to play them.
Yes.
That might be a running theme with several of these games.
Those are the only early Sonic games that got, kind of that retrofitted treatment. The next Sonic games we're going to talk about, they're not really arcade games. They're more like kiddie rides. I fondly remember the days of, like, those little motion simulators of, like, the roller coaster you could sit in that would tilt and show you the little video of you riding down or whatever.
Oh, I loved that stuff as a kid. It blew my little mind.
Yeah, no, the first one of these, which actually came out, like, right after original Sonic the Hedgehog, same year, is Waku Waku Sonic Patrol Car, a.k.a. proof that every anti-authority figure you've ever loved will become the man someday.
It's true. Because when I think of Sonic, I think Blue Lives Matter.
Oh boy. Boo hiss. Well, that leads us into our reoccurring segment this week on Radical Left Highway. Let's look at what the police budgets have been wasted on. We've got Sonic the Hedgehog out here doing free PR when just look at the state of the road systems in cities like Station Square, Central City. I mean, I don't know about you folks, but my car cannot make it up those loops.
So yeah, this was a little motion sensor ride. It is, I checked, it is big enough to seat an adult, so, just in case you are curious.
All right. All right.
Yeah, if you're really curious to play like a really, really, really short kids game, that has very little happening in it, sure.
Literally like less than 2 minutes.
I know this is not a visual medium, but I do highly encourage people to look up pictures of all of these cabinets and kiosks, because that is like half the fun, is that they have full little steering wheels and big flashing buttons right next to the little TV with Sonic on it.
I don't think that the game was ever properly localized, but the cabinet at least was, because I've seen versions of that cabinet with like full English text for all of the buttons on the console or whatever.
From my research, which again usually consists of reading the Sonic Retro articles, is that they might have the English Sonic Patrol car might have been for like the English speaking Asian countries. Because I don't think that there was ever, like you said, like a proper, like, they didn't want to bring this one to the West for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I did play through this one a couple of times. It is pretty cute. The first thing you notice is that these are like fully voiced. I think it is officially the first time that you hear Sonic and Eggman talk.
That is correct.
Which is weird. It is weird in a classic game.
Yeah, and these same actors carry forward into the other arcade games that have dialogue, which is kind of fun too.
The Sonic arcade universe, if you
Yeah.
will.
Yes, I thought it was funny that Takashi Kasao, who plays Sonic, is Trunks from Dragon Ball, like from the beginning up until now. And Dr. Eggman is Masaharu Sato and is the current voice of Master Roshi. And just to spoil it, the person that plays Mighty, the armadillo, is also in Dragon Ball.
It's almost as if Dragon Ball was a really popular property with a lot of characters airing it around the same time, and everybody wanted a piece of that action.
Hey, go for it.
So strange and odd to have a Dragon Ball connection.
Yeah, I know, right?
Practically unheard of.
So rare.
You know what? We might be reaching.
Completely original concept.
Donut Steel.
But speaking of donuts, this cop game, right? It's pretty wild.
Look, putting aside the weird culture clash, especially the peak 90s of Sonic's, totally tubular anti-authoritarian streak, it is pretty cute. It
is.
I couldn't find a proper translated version, but it seems like the whole thing is Sonic is going on a routine patrol just to make sure that everybody is crossing the street okay. Because halfway through the 2-minute game, you stop at a stoplight, and a bunch of the little Mobinis cross, and Sonic's like, "Oh, hey!" It's very cute. And then, the last half of the game is Eggman shows up and literally like sideswipes a car and starts throwing bombs at you.
That is not good road safety.
You spin jump, which, I mean, look, I know Sonic's got his police siren on, but spin jumps out of the car, leaving it to driving itself, and then destroys Eggman's little car. And then you pull back into the police station and get assigned a star ranking for helping out Sonic by pressing buttons.
I think I got 3 stars literally every time I played. I did look it up.
Same.
You have to really be constantly accelerating, but also using your turn signals when you've got to move the car or whatever.
It's the taxi driver's thing from Yakuza is what it's making me think.
I think the ranking is actually based on how much distance you cover, because there is, like, I looked up what a 1-star ranking looks like, and you had to be constantly crashing, like literally just driving into the wall repeatedly to slow Sonic down to get a 1-star ranking. Like, I don't think the person ever stopped just driving the car to the side of the road, and that was what it took to get a 1-star ranking.
And even then, Sonic gets placed on administrative leave. No consequences, actually. Ooh, spicy.
We knew it was going to do. We knew we were going to do this episode.
Yeah, it would be cool to see what this game was like, in its original habitat or whatever. Getting to actually try it in the cabinet, because like it's cool getting to experience it through emulation or whatever, but I feel like there is something lost when it's not like tilting with your movements or whatever.
And when you're not spin jumping out.
I don't know if there are any videos of the someone like in the cabinet. Thankfully there are for the next game. But that does seem like that adds a lot to the experience. Because it looks pretty fun. It's a cute little ride.
And we dog on it, but this is literally for children. It's literally for little babies. So here we are, as fully grown adults, like criticizing it.
Replace all driver's tests with just trying to get 5 stars in Waku Sonic.
To get a 1-star rating, you simply have to attempt to actually drive badly.
So next on the docket is the other motion simulator ride, SegaSonic Cosmo Fighter, released in April of 1993.
SegaSonic Cosmo Fighter!
Now, this is cool.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the one that I want to play the most because it just looks so fun.
I think I did go through this one like 3 or 4 times just because it is like a little... Like the first one, it is a very short little ride, but it's basically a tiny little bullet hell shooter, except it's Sonic in a neat rocket ship.
I find this a bit more acceptable than Sonic as a policeman somehow.
Yeah, he's a free agent. He's got this spaceship from somewhere. I guess this was pre-Tails building rocket ships. And yeah, he's just going for a casual trip to the nearest space station, and Eggman shows up and tries to ruin it. And so you gotta blast him with your high-powered lasers and rocket fists.
You can change weapons.
It's so cool.
That's one thing you can't do as a cop. You can't like switch around.
Like you've got a spread shot, you've got missiles, you've got your rocket fists. There's a surprising variety. I feel like you could actually make a relatively interesting, vertical shooter if you kind of took these mechanics and expanded on them a little.
This felt like a almost like a great mid-zone transition, kind of like Skybase Zone.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like you could do something like this to get to like that final Eggman space station.
Like if they ever do a Sonic Mania 2, God willing, this would be a great, like Puyo Puyo's boss battle where it's just Sonic doing the vertical shooter thing for one Eggman fight.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Oh man, if they make a Sonic Mania 2, it'd be so fun if they just incorporated a bunch of these different arcade things in there.
If they were allowed, they absolutely would.
I mean, there are some references to some of those games in Sonic Mania, so,
Just to plug another cool Sonic thing, that 30th anniversary IDW collection is chock full of incredibly weird and obscure references that they got away with most of.
Yeah, there were a few they weren't allowed to put in there, but for the most part. Boy.
Again, this was another one that had, the same Japanese voice actors. I say Japanese because...
SegaSonic Cosmo Fighter!
This one actually made it over to, an English-speaking country.
Yeah.
I think it was just Australia.
Yeah,
one.
My understanding is that, there was an English version produced specifically for use in Sega World Sydney. at least as far as we can tell.
Yes, and there is a video of someone playing the cabinet in English, and hoo boy, I think when I first heard it, I immediately thought it sounded like the Big Green dub, to bring it all back to Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Because Sonic himself basically sounds like a 40-year-old radio announcer who just got 6 lines of dialogue on a page and they said go for it.
Hi, my name is Sonic. Dr. Robotnik is trying to capture our friends at the space station. Let's take off through space to rescue them.
By the power of Grayskull. It's that sort of delivery.
Very, very silly.
Like, I've seen most people say that the dub Sonic and Eggman's voices should be switched, and I can't disagree.
Yeah, Eggman sounds like the squeaky voiced teenager from The Simpsons. You blast him and he's like, "Oh, I can't believe you did that."
Oh, Dr. Robotnik.
There you are, Sonic. If you want to rescue your friends, you'll have to down me first. Come on, you guys. Get going.
You'll never stop me, Sonic.
Yes, I will.
I'm gonna take my brains out.
Eggman sounds like a Homestar Runner character.
Oh boy.
Once I collect the final secret, the sweepstakes will be mine.
I'm a space fighting Tin Man.
Oh, goodness.
So funny dubs aside, I really liked this one a lot. It's another one that it has a really cool results screen, and like you literally do make it to like a space station, and again, there's all the little Mobinis waving hi to Sonic as he thanks you for helping him stop Eggman and his giant space gorilla robot.
One recurring thing I've noticed about this, and this is more related to the Japanese, is every time, at least in a few of these games, whenever you win, Sonic at the very end says thank you in English.
Thank you.
And I feel like that's also like a first example of Sonic speaking English to
yeah.
us, despite the Japanese
I
actor.
noticed that. Like, it's wild to think that something that has been long associated with Japanese Sonic it goes back even further than I think we initially realized.
He's just that cool, man.
He's just canonically American
Yeah.
and a cop.
And a space fighter. And also a popcorn machine.
Oh, true.
Yeah, that's the next one on the list is SegaSonic Popcorn Shop, released in around the same time, actually, April of 93. This is exactly what it sounds like. It's a popcorn machine with a little mini game built into it.
SegaSonic Popcorn Shop.
Which, again, sorry, non-visual medium, you've got to look up what this thing looks like because
Please
it is
do.
It's
absolutely delightful. I mean, just really just lifted my spirits seeing this adorable thing.
Yes. Like, if you just imagine what a Sonic the Hedgehog popcorn shop cabinet could look like, like if you see the real picture afterward, it might look similar to what you're thinking. It is wonderful to just look at.
But there is a game in there. There is a tiny little video game built into this
a
thing.
game in quotes.
It's inconsequential to the actual experience, though, even though it just lets the kids think, oh no, you might not get your popcorn if you don't help Sonic here.
Yes.
So that's essentially what it is.
Because
But you still do.
Dr. Robotnik leaps upon the conveyor belt that is carrying your popcorn kernels, and with the most powerful legs I have ever seen on a Robotnik,
Yes.
the like rippling muscles in his little gams as he's trying to smash Sonic over the head with a cartoon mallet.
Oh, man. That's something I kind of wanted to mention in the last game, but I'm actually glad I'm waited here. Like, these arcade games like have some just really fun animation overall.
Yeah.
And like, gosh dang, does Dr. Robotnik, Eggman must have taken some like legit like dance school ballerina classes because he got them legs for days in this game.
He
He
really
could point
does.
those toes.
We forget how athletic Robotnik actually is, because he can outrun Sonic in Sonic 2.
And Sonic 1, yeah.
He does have the spindly legs that somehow manages to support the rest of
Supports the rest of him and this giant hammer he's carrying over his shoulder, trying to hit Sonic while running on a conveyor belt.
Spending lots of time on Eggman's legs because that's about all there is to this game. It has if I recall correctly, the There are buttons to choose what kind of popcorn you would like, and then there is a what would you call that?
It's a crank.
Yeah, wheel crank.
That helps Sonic outrun Robotnik, I guess. And that's about it. Once he outruns it, he drops your popcorn into the popper.
Then you turn it to make Tails finish cooling your popcorn.
Oh, yes.
Using his little tails as a little fan. It's
Yep.
adorable.
It's charming.
He heats up the little imaginary oven.
The word gameplay is purely in quotes because you're still going to get your popcorn whether you turn the crank or not.
I do like the fact that Sonic is the only one who talks in this. I think there's not even an Eggman.
There's a
voice.
couple Eggman samples.
Oh, are there?
Yeah.
Okay, but Tails does not speak.
No.
So Sonic's like, "Thank you, Mute Tails. Now take my popcorn."
Pixel Brain knows his place in this game.
Oh, it's spreading. I just wish I could try it. You know, if I had that as a kid.
There are videos of a working one, and it just looks like the best popcorn that could ever exist.
Just because of its association with Sonic. Essentially.
Yes. When you realize you'll never taste the Sonic popcorn machine popcorn.
I would be genuinely fascinated to see what that tastes like. And apparently, something I didn't learn until the encyclopedia, there was apparently going to be a cotton candy follow-up to this machine that never got made.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh.
The next game on the list is one of the two big ones.
Yes.
Oh.
SegaSonic the Hedgehog. October of 1993 in Japan, and apparently a very, very, very limited in the US and UK. Maybe.
We might have had some over here. If we did, it would have been at Sega World, like in London.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to London as a kid.
Yeah, so I did some research on, like, why is it called SegaSonic? Turns out the answer is because of, I believe, Taito, I think that's who owns the IP for Sonic Blastoman, had the rights at the time to the Sonic name for arcade machines, so they had to call it
my goodness.
SegaSonic to get around that.
Interesting. I remember that being a weird point of contention on like the Sonic forums I used to frequent. And like, I remember some people specifically used Sega Sonic to only refer to like specific game canon. And this, this was peak like Archie Sonic, Sonic X, American Sonic cartoons like discourse.
Yeah.
Now, in retrospect, that is very funny that is the arbitrary
Yeah.
reason why it's a Sega Sonic product.
Oh, I just love when elitist people turn out to be wrong, you know? It's a joy in life.
This was the game that introduced us to long-standing characters, Ray the Flying Squirrel and Mighty the Armadillo. Just upper echelon of the Sonic canon. Clearly, you can't swing a bat without hitting the game with Ray and Mighty in it.
Just absolutely relevant.
No, it's funny because they are now.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
it's still really surreal going, walking through the toy aisle and seeing Ray and Mighty merchandise that you can buy. What weird timeline are we living in? But
We would have thought the missing posters in Sonic Generations would be the last we'd hear of these little buggers.
Yeah, but no.
this is an interesting one for me because this is the only game we've talked about so far that I have played an actual arcade unit of.
Oh, cool.
See, I'm interested in this because I think I played this one in preparation for this episode the most. And like we mentioned earlier, had to get a weird setup working where I played it on a gamepad with an analog stick and just barely.
Yeah, MAME required some finagling. But the reason because of that is because you don't control this with a joystick the way you would a normal arcade game. This is controlled entirely with a trackball. So it's an isometric 3D game, and the trackball motions the character like in the direction you want them to move. And for the first time, I got to actually try one of these when I went to visit Chicago. There is an arcade called Galloping Ghost. It is probably the greatest arcade in America, maybe the world. They have I think at last count, close to 900 different arcade games,
Wow.
including some that have never actually been released.
Ooh.
And way over in the corner, next to other really weird games like Holosseum and the Japanese Left 4 Dead arcade game, was just SegaSonic the Hedgehog right there, trackball, ready to go and everything. Let me tell you, even as somebody who has played this game through emulation before, it's a completely different experience actually playing it on the trackball as intended. Like, holy crap.
Well, I can imagine, and only imagine,
Yeah,
apparently.
Yeah, I've seen in looking up how to tweak my gamepad to work, I came across several topics of people trying to get this to work with modern trackball equivalents, and it still seems really fidgety.
Yeah. Which unfortunately is probably the biggest reason why we haven't seen this game come back in any capacity.
I mean, did you play any other trackball games? Like, did you ever see any other trackball games ever?
The original Centipede was a trackball machine that I've played before.
Missile Command, Marble Madness.
The only trackball games I've ever seen that I like still actually tend to see in like some places that have some sort of arcade cabinet is either like a bowling or a golf game.
Yeah, both of those for sure.
So ones where it would actually be useful
Yeah.
to use something like that.
I kind of understand with the way how Sonic's legs peel out in the original games. I guess they're kind of going for building up the momentum there. But yeah, it is a weird contrivance in this game.
I suppose it is a bit isometric, so like there's some strange movement here that preceded Sonic 3D as you're moving around.
And let me tell you, having to repeatedly swing that trackball, your arm gets tired out really fast by the last level.
I would say if I was paying actual quarters for it, maybe my opinion would be different. This is a fun little game. It's a nice little package. The scenario basically is that Eggman kidnaps either, I guess all three, since they all show up in the credits, but kidnaps Sonic, Mighty, and Ray and like dumps them on his death game island. And like straight up, Eggman is trying to kill our heroes. Like, you know,
this is a rare one.
He says it in the little translated bubbles. You know, like, oh, I'm gonna get you, I'll smash you. But it's like, no, he wants them to die.
Yeah, and I think that goes a long way to making the game really have that extra level of intensity, feel like there's real stakes, because you are constantly running from everything: fire, falling icicles, big giant mechs, explosions, buzzsaws, like floors falling behind you. There is not a moment where something is not actively trying to chase you down from behind, basically.
The characters are constantly screaming from like as threats are like hitting them, so they're constantly wah!
Wah!
Yeah, this is another one that's fully voiced.
That's true. There's lots of talking, lots of noises from these guys, including Robotnik talking over the like a loudspeaker or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he sounds very scary in this one.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's funny to go from the where he's, you know, it's the same actor. He's very goofy in the ride games we've seen him in, and he's straight up like a little scary in this.
Yeah, for sure.
It's funny going from oh, I'm gonna get your popcorn, I'm gonna ruin your popcorn, and to suddenly you will be killed on this day.
I think part of the factor for that is that they added an echo filter to basically all of his lines in this game. So that goes a long way to kind of add that intimidation factor.
You really need to imagine it booming at like unhealthy decibel levels out of an arcade machine.
Yeah.
This is a very chaotic, very arcadey game. Like constant, like it keeps you moving, keeps you going. There's always stuff happening. It's like the English Sonic X soundtrack of video games.
Oh boy.
I mean, honestly, the actual soundtrack is pretty good. I know that they remixed a couple of, I think at least one or two of the songs for the Sonic Mania Adventure shorts when Mighty and Ray showed up.
Yeah, and in Sonic Mania Plus, there's a few, like there's the Trap Tower track remix used for the new special stage. It's a good soundtrack, actually.
Yeah, it really stands out from some of the other. A lot of them just reuse like little fanfare from the Mega Drive titles, but yeah, this one like I was one of the ones I found myself like humming afterwards. It has a lot of unique flair to it.
I will say, I think out of like all the arcade games that like we have talked about and will talk about in the list that we have, I feel like this one is like most set up for like a group of fans to really get together and like remake it and recreate it. And I imagine that they could like as far as like the control issue, I imagine that they could make it work with like 2 controller options that the player could use, either just straight up using the analog stick to move whatever way they need, or if they're a masochist, they can like keep flicking the analog stick over and over to like build up that momentum.
You know, holding a button to accelerate like Sonic Lost World might actually be an acceptable alternate control scheme if they wanted to port this somewhere.
That's honestly not a bad idea, because I feel like you do still need to be able to have that kind of slower movement for when you have to make tighter turns or try to like collect rings nearby without overshooting or something like that.
Yeah, from the video that I saw, it seemed like the desert level is like a particularly tricky one because there's huge gaps that you gotta watch out for.
There's definitely some what's the nicest way I can say, some tightly designed obstacles.
Some financially savvy obstacles.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially the finale, which is you've made it all the way to the top of Eggman's Death Tower, and then you have 20 seconds to speed down, or it explodes, killing your hero, and you lose no matter how many credits you have left.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you fall off, you also lose. That's what happened to me. So...
Like when I played the actual arcade cabinet, I definitely lost one of the 2 times I played.
Just to that nice little countdown timer at the end.
Like I think the second time I got it like at the very, very, very last second. They do not give you a whole lot of wiggle room there.
So you did mention that this did get very limited releases in other territories, but there was some like cut localized content for this, right?
Yeah, so it's not just some cut localized content. There were, not only is there, all of the speech bubbles fully translated in the code of the game, but in a wild twist, they resprited Eggman to look like SatAM Robotnik. And almost all of the sprites are there. Like, I think the only one missing is like the Eggman sprite sitting on top of the mech in the opening cutscene. Everything else has an alternate version.
It's pretty interesting because you don't see that version of Robotnik like in almost any other media except the Archie comics and SatAM. Like even Sonic Spinball, I don't think is that Robotnik.
No, it's not.
No, it's more like traditional Robotnik, just slightly different, slightly redesigned. Adventures, we do see adventures, but not the SatAM Robotnik very much. Which is funny because I feel like this game suits him. It's the try to murder Sonic thing feels a lot more in character for that version. And I'm so sad that we never got to hear Jim Cummings' voice over those things.
That would have been
so cool.
Although it is cool that people have managed to find a way to hack those sprites and the translations back into the game. So there is a way to play with them if you so choose and you're willing to do a little legwork.
Oh man, now we just need to get like isolated clips from SatAM and like drop them in for like all of Robotnik's voice clips. I'm just imagining one point where he pops up on screen and says, "It warms the cockles of my heart."
Yeah,
that's exactly the line which chopped into my head.
Just bit crush them to hell. We've got the English dialogue bubbles, but they actually have alternate English versions for Eggman and Robotnik. So I guess the idea was that Robotnik would be in, America and the UK, but for other English-speaking regions, they'd probably keep the Eggman name, which is wild to think about, that even at that stage, they were, there was versions of the game where they were considering keeping Eggman even in English.
It was on the table. Yeah, this one was definitely my favorite to actually play out of these. Just because I'd never seen it outside of screenshots before. and it was a fun little title.
Yeah, this was definitely one of the ones where in my earliest days of Sonic fandom, there was like this whole mystique around Sega Sonic just because like we never got it here and there wasn't an easy way to emulate it at that time. So it's cool that we now live in an era where it's not only mostly accessible for people to find, but also that stuff from it is getting integrated into newer, more modern Sonic media.
And speaking of which, the next game.
The next game is very similar case of something that really wasn't a thing in the West nearly as much, but was still just kind of spoken of in hushed tones for years until really getting blown out in the mid-2000s. And that is Sonic the Fighters, or Sonic Championship as we no longer call it.
I know. I think I remember learning about this and the alternate title, and Sonic the Fighters is just such a cooler title.
Yeah.
It's less grammatically correct, but who cares?
Yeah. Like, this was definitely a case where, like, I remember when this got added to Gems Collection, it was seen as a big deal for a lot of Sonic fans, because this was another game where you heard about it constantly, but nobody ever seemed to have actually played it.
I hate to say that it falls under most other fighting games as a thing that I like in concept very much, but am incredibly bad at actually playing. I booted up the most recent release, which is on my PS3, which adds the cut content, and could not make it past Metal Sonic.
Oh, that is pretty brutal, that part of the game. As soon as he picks you up, it's over.
Even putting skill level at fighting games aside, it's still a quarter muncher, so those boss characters are broken.
Yes, very much so.
It's a really fun game. I kind of like having another Sonic game where the rings come out of them. It doesn't serve any purpose. But having a game where you smash into people and rings come out is really satisfying. It's like the blood from Mortal Kombat, but rings.
Pretty much,
yeah. There's lots of really charming, like, squash and stretch cartoony physics to these really blocky Virtua Fighter-esque looking models.
That's a really good way to describe it.
Yeah.
It's got a really cool art style.
And we also have Knack the Weasel.
It does have, or Fang the Sniper, as I guess he was called.
That's right.
Yeah, what is he officially? Half Jerboa, half wolf?
Yeah, wolf Jerboa.
Something like that, yeah. That's recent. We only heard about that.
Yeah. Or like officially canonized it, I believe.
Yeah.
But that means that we've got quite the cast here, actually. Like, including Fang, or Knack, or whatever you want to call him. Because obviously you got your Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, or Rosie the Rascal, to go by her subtitle, which I think is a great little sort of nickname for her. We got Fang. We've also got, who else is there? There's also Espio randomly, but I appreciate having Espio in something.
Bean the Dynamite.
There's the new characters, isn't there? That would be Bean the Dynamite and Bark the Polar Bear. Now, you would be forgiven for not understanding what Bean the Dynamite is, just from hearing his name.
You'd also be forgiven for assuming he's a duck, which is wrong.
Oh, yeah, true. Doesn't he have, like, a basis in a game, like Dynamite
Yeah,
Ducks
like,
or
I
something?
believe he was derived from Dynamite Ducks, but he is officially canonically a woodpecker.
Okay.
That checks out.
I can kind of see it.
Yeah, and he has the peck attack in Sonic the Fighters, so,
Yeah, he's got like 90s Woody Woodpecker cartoons energy.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I think, if his recent like comic appearances is anything to go by, is definitely an inspiration, I think.
100%.
Oh, Ian Flynn helped introduce that to the to his character.
Woody Woodpecker, but murderous.
Yeah.
If Woody Woodpecker was into arson.
What's fun for me, by the way, is obviously this is something we've only got in recent years. Well, I say recent years. Whenever I say that, I'm suddenly reminded, oh no, they aren't recent years, because now we're in the 2020s. And then I get really sad and have to sit down.
That's why
for
we're
a
doing
while.
this podcast.
Yeah, exactly, as you prefaced at the beginning. But if I got to play this like a long time ago, it'd have been my first case of seeing Amy using her hammer.
Yeah.
Which we don't really see very often from classic Amy. Even though I feel like the first time I ever saw that was in Sonic Adventure. And I guess that's something that was established early on here.
Yeah, I don't think I realized that either, that the hammer is might be from this title.
I certainly can't think of any other Amy appearances that use the hammer, so I'm willing to accept that as my personal canon, if nothing else.
I should have done some research before saying these things. Oh well.
It's probably right. I'm willing to assume we're right.
It's weird for me because I like to imagine her with a crossbow, but anyway.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Can't imagine why.
We almost skipped over poor Bark the polar bear, the original strong silent type.
Yep.
Yeah.
He has a very neat design. I think, yeah, his personality is just the big tough guy. But I love he's a very unique character in the Sonic character mold. Like, I couldn't tell you originally if his name wasn't Bark the polar bear that I would guess he was a polar bear, but I really like his design and all his little Arctic accessories.
Yeah. I feel like, the first two fights against Knuckles and Amy are relatively simple. Bark is the moment when the game starts to be like, okay, kid gloves are coming off. We're a real arcade game now. We're going to have him grab you and take out half your health with a single throw.
Oh, you're not kidding.
You kids like Zangief.
He's a grappler that hits like a truck, just like every fighting game needs to have.
So the scenario for this game, which does have a story to it, is that Eggman has built the Death Egg 2.
Naturally.
Even though I think even by the time this came out, we were already on the third or fourth Death Egg.
Something like that.
Electric Deathaloo.
And so all of Sonic and company, instead of combining their forces to surely defeat Eggman, hold a fighting tournament to see who gets to ride Tails' rocket ship to the Death Egg, which is powered by the 8 Chaos Emeralds. So
they needed one for every character. So. Whoops.
What's the over-under on which character has the fake emerald here?
It's Fang. It's Fang. It's Fang.
I would say so too. Fang is the one that brought a fake emerald, and no one cared enough to call him on it.
Yep.
It's there, but yeah, a very fighting game type story.
Yeah.
And as we mentioned before, like the good thing is that it's not exclusive to a cabinet. You can get the Sonic Gems collection. You can play it that way. You
can get it that way, or you can get the 360 or PS3 version. The 360 version of which is still for sale and is still playable on Xbox Series X.
Oh, cool.
And if I recall correctly, you can also pick up recent Sega title Lost Judgment and head to the local arcade.
That is correct.
Yep.
Which I think is the Xbox PS3 version.
Yeah, it's based on that version, so you can play as the boss characters, Metal Sonic and Eggman, but you can also play as arguably the weirdest character in the lineup, Honey the Cat, which is it's still kind of a surreal one. Like, so for context, this game existed because they were making Fighting Vipers, because Sega was making a bunch of different 3D fighting games at the time. Virtua Fighter was kind of huge. And somebody in their spare time decided to be like, I'm going to make Sonic and Tails models, stick them in this in-development version of Fighting Vipers, and just kind of show them off as a basic thing. And Yu Suzuki, the head of AM2, the development team, was like, there is actually something here. I'm going to actually pitch this. And surprisingly, got the okay for it.
Kids like fighting games. Kids like Sonic.
And so as a result of that, we got Honey, who is literally a Sonic-y anthropomorphized version of Honey from Fighting Vipers, or Candy as she was called in English.
Mm-hmm. Her persona.
Literally, yes.
Yeah.
Although, if I remember correctly, she's not complete in the original cabinet.
That's correct.
But they restored her for the home release, the modern home release.
That is absolutely correct. Like, if you try to play as her in the cabinet, every character has, eye movements and other stuff to really dig that cartoony feel, but one of her eyes is always facing the camera for some reason.
Oh no.
Because that hasn't been coded properly.
She's watching.
And also, like, her pigtails are not fully rendered or fixed in that version, so she just has inexplicably short hair, which, more power to the people who are into that. I know there are some of you out there.
Oh, I need to check fan art after this. No, mate, actually, no, that's not a good idea.
It's cool that, like, not only did they add her back, but when that version came out to add her in, it kind of, like, legitimized her in terms of Sonic canon, so we started actually seeing her show up in other media. So, you know, most prominently in the Champions arc for Archie Sonic, which is still one of my favorite post-reboot arcs.
Absolutely one of the joyful storyline in a great part of the comics history. And I'm sad thinking back on it now.
I still have the alternate cover for one of those issues that's just Marvel vs. Capcom up on my wall.
I love that cover so much.
Yep, that is a fun little story.
Yeah, they sort of embraced her being a fashion designer, like her Fighting Viper's counterpart, which I like.
They even, like, really leaned into it because there is a Sonic version of another Fighting Vipers character, Jane, in that arc, who is one of the opponents that I think Knuckles fights.
Oh yeah, there's lots of little nods like that.
Yeah.
Sonic fights Segata Sanshiro, and I love that.
It's such a charming little game, and I'm honestly surprised we never got a Saturn port.
You'd think, from the lack of Sonic on the Saturn, that would have been a gimme, but no.
I guess we sort of did, but kind of through the side door, because we got Bark and Bean and Fighters Mega Mix on Saturn.
Oh, true.
So I guess that's the closest we ever came to it. Yeah, I'm glad that, again, this weird little fighting game that is still available in a way that people can get their hands on it and still give it a shot.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I do love the fact that Knack/Fang and Bark and Bean have become like a de facto team hooligans, thanks to the Archie comics, and now in the IDW comic as well, at least in the
classic stories,
classic universe of that. Oh, I love that.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. Yeah. After this point, though, there really wouldn't be a whole lot of arcade games as we kind of think of arcade games. You got a lot of, you know, redemption games, Sonic branded. Some of those sports games, but not a whole lot of actual proper arcade games. When you think of arcade games, you think of joysticks and buttons and everything. You don't really think of shoot the coin into the hole or stop the things from spinning.
No, they're a bit strange. I took a look at some of those. Not exactly what I would imagine for my Sonic games, but I guess it was giving us some arcade Sonic content, so because we didn't get a lot over here.
I think that was just a result of both Sonic being in a very different position as a franchise, and also we're getting to the end of the 90s. Arcades are still around, but they are not nearly as big as they used to be. Priorities are getting shifted all over the place. So I guess Sonic just kind of got left in the dust in that regard. And I did look at some of the redemption games they put out around that time and in the years since. Like, there's a couple that immediately come to mind. There's Sonic Spinner, which is one of those like wheel spinning games that whatever it lands on, you get that many tickets or whatever. I think it was the first quote unquote arcade game that actually used the adventure modern designs. And it had Twinkle Park music playing in the background. And I think there might even been like, it's weird to think that this was the first time we saw modern Sonic in an arcade game, was this weird little spinning thing.
They're really cute. I remember seeing some of the I think they're called redemption machines that spits out little tickets when you use tokens at when my mall had its second or third go at having an arcade that had some very nice modern Sonic art. But yeah, they're just like existing kinds of games with some Sonic stickers on them.
Yeah, and you still see them a little bit today. Like, you know, we see the Sonic branded, you know, shoot the basketball game or like air hockey or whatever. So they're still around in some arcades here and there.
Yeah, we've got some Sonic basketball machines down at our local arcade.
I want to play that.
Never played them, but they're there, so you know, more power to them.
Yeah, I think I played the Sonic air hockey once when I went to the GameWorks in Seattle.
Oh, how does it play?
Like air hockey.
Cool.
Was it the what does Sega Amusements officially call it? Like the quad air hockey that has like 4 little goals on it?
No, it was only the 2-goal one. Although I have played one of those quad goal ones. It's something. Like if you can get a group together, that's an absolutely wild time.
Great way to get your knuckles nice and bloody.
Oh yeah. But yeah, we wouldn't get a traditional Sonic arcade game again until 2011, 15 years after Sonic the Fighters. And it was an arcade conversion of the original Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. It kind of makes sense. You know, Sumo was known for its arcade racers. I believe that when they did Outrun 2, that got ported to arcades as well. So it's like, well, we might as well, you know, do that. There was just enough life left in arcades for that to be like, okay, let's give this a shot.
I remember hearing about this cabinet probably around the time that the second Mario Kart cabinet had come out.
Yeah.
Which is the only one similar that I've played. What was it? Mario GP2.
Yeah, Arcade GP2.
Which is a fun little game. But I think this one plays similar in fact that there is instead of like gas and brake, it's gas and a drift pedal.
Yeah.
With the I think they're item buttons and the steering wheel. It looks pretty fun.
Yeah, it's definitely a cut down version compared to the console. It has half the characters and half the tracks. It's a curiosity that it's there. It all.
Yeah, I think we're all saying we wish it would have been transformed.
Yeah, Transform never got that treatment, unfortunately, which is a darn shame.
Yeah.
It would have been too much of a pain to actually transform the machine that you're sitting on.
Without crushing your body inside of it.
We had this prototype, and I put my kid in there, but, you know, my kid, his legs got disintegrated. So,
It's like, okay, we're willing to, you know, do these 360 ring edge cabinets that flips you upside down, but that's a step too far.
Transformers crushing both your knees.
Oh.
That was the first one in years and years. And then I don't think we would get another quote unquote traditional one until 4 years later when they put out Sonic Dash Extreme, which is literally the phone game, but with a big D-pad that you play with. I'm going to send you guys a picture of what the cabinet looks like because it's weird.
Yeah, it's this new, I mean, it's a giant phone game. I know that's like the big thing in Dave and Buster's, what is it? Like Cut the Rope.
For Ninja, yeah.
Temple Run.
But yeah, that it's basically a giant phone game. And yeah, that D-pad looks crazy.
It's like it plays exactly like the phone game, you know, move back and forth, jump, duck, and then the button in the middle to dash, I assume. I don't know, it's weird, especially considering that the mobile game is still getting updated with new stuff, new environments, characters, whatever. I literally just unlocked Linebacker Omega this morning. And yet, you know, the arcade version is just a really sort of cut down version. I think it has, again, it's like only a handful of characters, a few of the environments. It's like a lot of the newer stuff just never ended up making it to that version. So if you were looking to play as Hello Kitty or Pac-Man or one of the Angry Birds in the arcade, sorry, you're out of luck.
Yeah, it is a shame because that style of mobile Sonic game is a pretty fun little time waster.
Yeah.
Should have put a trackball on there. That would have worked out better.
Now that might actually make sense.
Yeah.
Side to side, down to spin, up to jump.
I like when one of my obvious jokes actually turns out to be a good idea.
It's like, oh no, now I'm thinking about this.
It's a curse.
Yeah, it seems like the next couple of arcade games would kind of follow the same formula of the giant phone.
A little bit, but the next two are actually games that I was really surprised to actually see in person because I had no idea they existed. The Mario and Sonic at the 2016 and 2020 Olympic Games.
Yep.
These are really surprising because I knew that there was like the weird what is it, Joypolis like
Sonic
athletics.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seemed to be kind of based on the Olympic Games, but this is straight up like Nintendo co-produced Mario and Sonic arcade versions.
Yeah, and it plays really weird too. So it's actually like literally the same cabinet in both cases, but you know, you can the people who have the 2016 version can literally just like call Sega and be like, hey, I want to upgrade this to 2020. Cool, we'll send you some new art to stick on the side and a USB stick with a new code. You can just plug that in. And
That's efficient.
yeah.
The few videos I looked up with this, I was happy to see that one of the events you can play is the rhythmic dancing that people still post videos of various characters.
I mean, why would you not?
So I don't remember which version it was, and I don't remember which event I did because I guess it was a while ago. But I do remember going to a Dave and Buster's and playing one of the Mario and Sonic at the Olympics cabinets, and it's interesting because it's like you've got those bars on the side, and you've got like the place where you stick your feet and the not joysticks, but whatever those controllers are on the sides.
Yeah, the like two weird sticks with the buttons on them.
Maybe I just had a good cabinet, but I remember like not having any issues with actually playing it. I mean, it was, it overall it's still an arcade game. It's still there to like eat your quarters and, well, in this case, your dollars. But well, that's just because modern arcade games, especially out of Dave and Buster's establishment kind of thing. Like, I'm not sure if there's really any arcade games that just take a quarter at like that kind of establishment. It's just like
you gotta swipe your card or whatever.
Yeah, you get like a game card, or you have to like have like dollar bills for days.
Right, I forgot about inflation,
Yeah.
which is a subject we should not talk about on the Sonic.
Oh, Lord help us. Honestly, if I was in an arcade and like if I saw like all these quote unquote modern like Sonic cabinets, like the Dash Extreme, the All Star Racing, and the Olympic Games ones, I know where my money would be going because I'd be like, yes, Sonic, something I recognize. I want to play.
Oh, for sure. And it's, the kind of the give and take of the current, like the tokens or whatever is so different for the newer games than it is for the older ones, where it's like the older ones would be keep playing for as long as you can. So we're going to make it super hard for you to keep going. While the newer ones are like, hey, cool, you gave us your money. We're going to let you play this game for, like, you'll get to play for a couple rounds or whatever. So, like, your token will get you two races or two Olympic events or whatever have you, instead of you basically having to fight to go as long as you can on one token.
It seems like the modern experience is much more like we're trying to give you an experience that is not on the home console version. So you've got the unique control schemes, like the big flashing lights and stuff like that. And that's fun. I could definitely see that's worth it.
I think that's ultimately what you have to do if you're converting a home game into an arcade game, is you have to offer something that you can't get from just playing it at home. Because it's like, if it was Sonic All-Stars Racing, but it's just a regular stand-up cabinet with a joystick and a handful of buttons, that's not going to do it for me.
Got to be able to feel the power.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically up to now with the mass market games, but there are a handful of games that either are or were very, very specific locations in terms of distribution. As far as I know, these only were they were even less arcade games and more kind of events, like sections or rides or whatever at the Sega Joypolis arcades in Japan. So there's Sonic Athletics, which we kind of mentioned in passing earlier. Mm-hmm. It's literally just some of the events from Mario Sonic Olympics, but you're all like, it's up to 8 players and you're all on treadmills. So you have to actually run. So it's like 100-meter dash, 100-meter hurdles, but you don't have to actually jump. They have a jump button because otherwise that would be dangerous. I think there's a long jump in there. It's definitely like the prototype for what they would ultimately end up doing with the Mario and Sonic arcade games. You can totally see that in just the pictures and footage that are available.
Yeah, the treadmill thing is very interesting because I think it's ones where you actually have to like get it started. Like it doesn't start for you. And it seems like pretty challenging.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm just looking at this picture you sent us. So that each booth, or well, whatever it is, has a different character on it. So you're seeing Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, and there's even a silver one. And I'm just imagining myself running straight for that Knuckles.
Yeah.
Even as a kid.
It's not visible in the picture, but Blaze is number 8.
Oh, cool.
Oh man. That's cool.
Wow.
Where's
yeah.
Big the
So
Cat?
it really is, like you said, it's almost like a game ride event type thing.
Yeah, and that's definitely the case for the other game that came out in 2013, Sonic Ghost Shooting, which this was the one game that I literally could not find any footage of, but my understanding is that it is a dark ride that you go through. They've set up a track that you can go through, and it's basically like a light gun shooter where the little ghost boos from Sonic Adventure 2 will show up, and you have to shoot them with your little light gun thing.
Oh, wow.
These little cars are really cute.
Sounds cool.
It's super
Little
charming.
red cars.
Unfortunately, this is one of the ones that I know for sure has apparently been shut down the year since. I believe it shut down in 2018. If you were hoping to shoot ghosts, got bad news for you.
You have to play the Ghostbusters game.
Yeah, exactly.
Just close your eyes and pretend it's Sonic.
I often do.
I do a
in those
lot.
scenarios.
Yeah, the one other Joypolis game that we know of is Sonic Brain Ranking, which is
God, what a name!
yeah, arguably the greatest title for a Sonic arcade game I've ever heard. This one was another one that is set up more like kind of an event space almost. So it's not a traditional arcade game. It's like a Green Hill Zone area where it's, I think, up to 8 players. You're kind of encouraged to be on teams of 4 or whatever. And there's a host up there who is giving you trivia questions, either like general or about Sonic specific stuff. And you're encouraged to, submit what you think is the right answer. And whoever has the best score at the end of it will get a prize from the Joypolis prize booth, whatever thing.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah, it's very similar to the athletics, to where it's character themed little screens you stand at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, though, I would do really well for half of that.
Yeah.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah,
General trivia, Sonic trivia. Oh boy.
I mean, we would, aside from the obvious language barrier.
Oh yeah. Well, needs more localization.
Yeah.
Needs more of He-Man voice telling us all.
Clearly, the solution is we just have to break into Joypolis ourselves and literally just get a bunch of our Sonic friends together and host one of these.
Oh man.
That's the dream, really.
Yeah.
The brain ranking dream.
The dream is always to break into a Joypolis.
Yeah.
But that, as far as I know, those are all of the major Sonic arcade games that were released. But we have to talk about one that wasn't.
The one.
The one that we know of. There might be more, but...
Yeah, the one that actually got out there.
So, SegaSonic Bros is a puzzle game that was originally supposed to come out in 1992, but basically the way the arcade business works is that they will have location tests where they will take an in-progress arcade game to a nearby arcade or some other location, set it up, and then basically have somebody standing around monitoring people who play it just to gauge its overall popularity, whether people are enjoying the game. So you would hear a lot of stories about different places around Chicago where that became super popular because like Midway used those for all of their location tests. So those would always get like the first versions of the new Mortal Kombat or whatever. They did that for this Sega Sonic Bros game, and apparently it did not do well in location tests and ended up failing and just completely got shelved. For years, we didn't even know this existed until like probably 2017, 2018 thereabouts.
Yeah, it was fairly recently, I remember.
When it just kind of came out of nowhere, somebody showed off, I have the arcade board for this thing, I've got it running, and it wouldn't be until even later that it was dumped and modified to work in MAME after a fair amount of time just kind of taking it around touring to show it off. And as it turns out, I did some research on this. The game was designed by Fukio Mitsuji, the creator of Bubble Bobble.
Oh.
Oh.
That makes a lot of sense considering when I tried to play this for a few minutes and almost could not wrap my head around it because I again, that's another genre of games. I like Tetris. I like Puyo Puyo. I'm not very good at it. This one really threw me for a loop with its concept.
Yeah, the mechanics are...
See, that's the problem. That's the problem. You're supposed to make a loop.
The mechanics are really weird, which is a shame because Puzzle Bobble is literally like my favorite arcade puzzle game of all time, so...
Or Bust a Move, if you know it as that.
Exactly. The rules of this are... Well, the titular Sega Sonic Bros are literally 3 Sonics in 3 different colors. So you've got your blue Sonic, your red Sonic, and your yellow Sonic, long before the days of DeviantArt.
Yeah, not Mighty and Ray.
Well, there are some people who speculate that Sega Sonic, the arcade game, was originally going to be these 3 Sonics again, but then the red one and the yellow one turned into Mighty and Ray because they have the exact same color palette.
It does check out, and same shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
You've got these 3 Sonics that they fall in 2x2 clusters. The idea is you need to basically create like a line around a space using those 3 colors. So like if you can enclose a certain number of these falling Sonics with one color, so like you've got a line of red ones or blue ones or yellow ones around a bunch of others, everything within that line will suddenly be zapped away and disappear. The only ways to win are either to reach the final stage or like level 99 or to get the max possible score of like 9,999,999 or whatever.
Seems doable.
You say that, but this game is hard as hell. Like, holy crap. I love me some puzzle games, but even putting aside the weird mechanics, this game is super duper difficult. Like, the speed increases way faster than I expected. Every once in a while, they'll give you a break. Like, every 10 levels, you'll collect a Chaos Emerald that will clear every Sonic tile, whatever, above the line you drop it at. So it's a good way to kind of clear out your board and start making space again. It's just merciless in how quickly the speed picks up, and then it drops down again, and then it picks up again.
I mean, it is Sonic.
I mean, that's true. You do have to go fast.
That's probably what they were thinking. They were like, sorry, can you make it faster? I'm like, but it will be hard to play. No, make it faster.
Yeah.
All right.
A lot of it comes down to luck in terms of just really hoping you get the specific Sonic colors you need. And then it gets harder after maybe 20, 30 levels when they add in a 4th white Sonic to complicate things, further proving that everything is made worse with the addition of white people.
Oh, yeah, that is... Well, I can at least say from the presentation, it is another very cute game. Like, the splash art, the character designs are at least very fun to look at. It's just, yes, it was incredibly hard.
And you've got the backgrounds that go through literally all the zones of Sonic 1 as you get further into the game, which adds to the charm. And then there's
which I definitely did not.
And then there's a little Eggman in the center that's, is quote-unquote controlling the drop. And every time you clear something, he gets electrocuted, and it's adorable. Yeah, I feel like there is still stuff that's, from this canceled game that seeps into other Sonic and Sega stuff here and there. Like we talked about how, these 2 Sonic Bros might have been repurposed as Mighty and Ray, but there is one more very, very noticeable thing that carried over into future games, and this is the part where I want you guys to click on the streaming thing. So, soundtrack is pretty good. I'm not sure who composed it. I want you to listen to the soundtrack for levels 40 to 49, and just tell me, first impressions.
Well, this explains a lot.
Yeah, so sound a little familiar?
That definitely is the good old blue sphere.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can feel my heart rate spiking.
It's weird how long that one's been in the can.
Yeah.
1992.
So from this scrapped arcade game, the mysteries surrounding Sonic 3's music get deeper and deeper.
Yeah. It never ends.
Oh, man.
It's funny, I showed this to Jackie, and she was like, oh, that makes sense, because there's all these blue spheres around. I was like, yes,
Yeah.
there are.
Yeah, blue, yellow, and red spheres, just like in Sonic 3.
They made the right decision to dispense of the white ones.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, they're technically still there, they just have the star on them.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's true. They get in the way.
Yeah, it is weird that this iconic piece of Sonic music that has still been used in the games as recently as 2017 came from this arcade game that never happened.
Man.
Continuing the trend of learning something new on this show.
Amen to that.
I've learned so much today. But that's so cool.
Like, honestly, that's part of the reason why I wanted to do an episode on all these games, is because there's just, it's such a fascinating and underappreciated side of the Sonic franchise that I'm glad that more and more people are slowly discovering and kind of getting an appreciation for. And I'm glad that a lot of these games are preserved either officially or unofficially for those people to discover.
Yeah, to bring it around to the top, talking about the anniversary of MAME, like, I am super grateful that these are much more accessible than they ever have been.
Yes.
Yeah, being able to play Sonic games that we never would have had the opportunity to growing up. Because, boy, there was a lot of stuff that I never got the opportunity to. And partly due to not having the money, but partly due to the fact that we just weren't getting this stuff.
Yeah.
And you think we would when Sonic was at its peak. But now here we are. And I'm happy for that. I'm happy we're getting so much Sonic that was apparently hidden from us. Like in the case of this,
Yeah.
like, what else are we missing? Like in the next couple of years, what else is going to get unveiled from the Sonic's history that we have no idea about?
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if there is at least like one more secret arcade game that failed a location test that we don't know about.
Oh, I hope so.
Like a sequel to Sonic the Fighters.
If you would have told me even like a couple of years ago that was even a possibility for people to discover unreleased arcade cabinets of all things and have that, preserved and dumped online, that's just real exciting. I hope there is extra stuff out there.
One day we're going to get the Sonic 1 Alpha, the Madonna cut. He's followed around by a beautiful Jessica Rabbit-like girl. That's what I'm waiting for.
It's either gonna be that or the Amiga port. Which one comes first is, anybody's guess.
I know that these days arcades as their own establishment just aren't financially viable anymore because of, changes in culture and everything. But like, I feel like the dream is a collector / programmer / carpenter / designer, like just making a space where you have like all these Sonic arcade games, like old, new, unreleased, just all together, even for like a week, a month, a year, like as a limited time event. That, man, I feel like that would be something that would legitimately go down in like Sonic history books kind of thing.
Yeah, and they should bring it to every one of our like living locations so we can all play them.
For a limited time only.
I guess if Galloping Ghost expands again, you never know what they're gonna pull in next.
Oh man.
They're up to 856 games. They've got SegaSonic and Fighters, so who knows what else they could manage to get their hands on.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good point to wrap it up for today.
Yeah.
I'm glad these things exist and that we can play them.
I think we covered everything.
You know what? If there is an arcade near you, stay safe, but if you have the opportunity and you feel comfortable doing so, go give it a visit. They could use the business, and you might find something there that you've never seen before and might find super cool.
Yeah.
I should go down and play Sega Rally Championship again. It's been a while.
Ooh, that sounds tempting.
We should get a video of you doing the Sonic basketball game too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was tempted to try it before we did this
Oh,
episode, but it's going outside. Maybe just to play Sonic basketball.
I know my go-to arcade near me has a bunch of old games, including the Rio 2016 Olympic game. So if next time I go, that's still there, I may film myself getting an embarrassing score in the pole vault or whatever.
If I happen to go to a Dave & Buster's or something that has any sort of Sonic cabinet, I will for sure get a video of me playing something so we can have supplemental material for this podcast.
Exactly.
What about Jeremy? What about you, Jeremy? You gonna make a pilgrimage out to your local arcade for this?
I know for a fact that does not exist, unfortunately.
Oh no,
I would
you're right.
probably have to. I haven't looked into it. I know. Jeez, I don't even know if our Chuck E. Cheese is still around. And even then, our Chuck E. Cheese was always real lame. It had lots of rides, but not a lot of games.
Chuck E. Cheese has gotten lamer in the intervening years, if you can believe it. So you can find me on Twitter at CyberLink420.
You can find me on Twitter at GreatJobJeremy. That's GR and the number 8.
You can find me on just the different socials as RockTheJake.
And you can find me all over the internet, probably. Well, not really, but you can find me on Twitter and at least a few others as Faulerro. That's Faulerro. I just made that up on the spot. I just figured I might as well give people a spelling after all these episodes.
Brilliant.
4
Love
episodes in, and we finally know how to spell his name.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
I need to update my contacts.
Yeah,
Oh, he's got me as Forello. Damn it.
for real.
Yeah.
He's my emergency contact, so I should definitely update that.
Oh, don't contact him. Weird dude.
Special thanks, as always, to Amy Waters for the use of our theme song from the album Gotta Go Slow. You can check out more of her work on YouTube and Bandcamp. And next time, we're going to mix things up a little, kind of as sort of a continuation of this topic, but also kind of a weird side tangent. I think we're going to talk a little bit about Sonic pinball stuff, because surprisingly, there has been both a lot of Sonic pinball things and not a lot of Sonic pinball things. So I feel like that's a good kind of topic of conversation to really dig into how much that whole genre has influenced the games and everything else over the years.
It was a natural fit for our round boy Sonic.
The round bouncy boy.
Because most people, when they tell you their favorite Sonic level, oh yeah, I love Sonic. I love the pinball stage. I'm like, yeah. So plenty to talk about when it comes to Sonic and pinball.
So until next time, I'm CyberLink.
I'm RockTheJake.
I'm Faulerro.
And I'm GameBuddy, and this has been The Hill is Always Greener. And don't forget, just pull the trigger, Tails, and Dr. Robotnik will never menace Planet Mobius again.
I know where that's from. Oh,
Love it.
assassination.